For a year and a half now, we have seen Trump's allies grasp at straws in their attempts to go after Trump's perceived enemies. They raided a man's house in the middle of the night, publicly accused him of being part of the deep state, and charged him with felony assault, all because he threw a Subway sandwich at a federal agent. Remember that? I mean, that's obviously hardly a deadly weapon. Prosecutors tried to claim that the agent could feel the impact of the sandwich through his bulletproof vest. They indicted former FBI Director James Comey on charges of threatening the president's life just because Comey posted a photo of seashells on Instagram. They've accused a whole list of Trump's perceived enemies of mortgage fraud for doing something multiple of Trump's own cabinet members have done themselves and which Trump has done himself. If it weren't so serious, it would all be pretty freaking laughable. And now tonight, Trump's allies are yet again grasping at straws. This time in an attempt to gin up something they could try to use against former special counsel Jack Smith. Because tonight, and as I noted, this literally just broke, the Republican chairman of the House Judiciary Committee filed a formal criminal referral, the letter right here, asking acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to prosecute Jack Smith on the very flawed premise that he lied to Congress. And that was first reported by Fox News because, well, of course it was. But we here at MS Now have obtained the referral ourselves, and the logic undergirding this referral doesn't actually make much sense. It's weedy and technical and confusing, and that might be the point. Because if all you know is that a member of Congress is saying Jack Smith lied to them, that certainly sounds bad. But when you look at the details here, they don't really seem to add up. And luckily for us, Republican Senator Josh Hawley explained the GOP's logic on all this just last week when he was trying to get Blanche to prosecute Jack Smith for it. Now, just to show you how ridiculous this all is, how much this is yet again the GOP grasping at straws, let me just break down what Hawley's argument was. For almost a year now, Republicans have been trying to say that Jack Smith broke the law by obtaining the phone records of members of Congress while he was investigating January 6th. In reality, all Smith did was subpoena what are known as toll records, which are essentially logs showing when calls were made, but not their content. It's kind of like your phone bill. It just shows who you called and when. We've talked about this, by the way, on this show before because this is so absurd. So he subpoenaed the toll records of lawmakers who interacted with Trump around the time of January 6, 2021, because wouldn't you want to know that information if you're overseeing an investigation? But he couldn't see what they were saying in those communications. He just knew who called who when. Now, Republicans are trying to conflate those subpoenaed toll records of members of Congress with this, because last week, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley released documents showing that Jack Smith's January 6 investigation had also obtained text messages from 44 lawmakers. Republicans have been trying to act like that is a huge scandal. But here's the thing. Smith obtained those texts because he asked the National Archives for records from the White House from around the time of January 6th. Again, if you're investigating this, wouldn't you want to have those? And it turns out a lot of people in the White House were texting with members of Congress. So Republicans are trying to conflate the toll records and these texts from the White House obtained from the National Archives to try to pretend that Jack Smith lied to Congress, to try to prosecute Jack Smith for lying to Congress. And again, here was Senator Hawley last week trying to show what he asserted was a moment in which Jack Smith lied.
Here is a record, I'm going to read it to you, a record of Jack Smith's responses under oath now to members of Congress. He has asked, question, as it relates to members and their staffs and senators, it's just the toll records as far as you remember. Smith, that is my recollection.
Now, the gotcha that Hawley is going for here is that he's trying to say that Jack Smith lied to Congress by saying that the only communications of members of Congress he subpoenaed were the toll records. But that is the truth. He didn't subpoena any text messages from any member of Congress. He got texts of White House officials from the National Archives. And surprise, surprise, everyone, people in the White House text people in Congress. Now, the biggest reach they are making is that they are conveniently ignoring the full text of what Jack Smith actually told them in his deposition. They are just trying to twist his words so it seems like he is lying when he isn't. I mean, here was the section of Jack Smith's deposition that Hawley presented last week like it was some sort of a smoking gun. To make it clear as day, we are going to put the actual text of what Jack Smith said in his deposition up next to Hawley so you can just see what he left out. watch as he just conveniently skips over the fact that Smith was answering a question specifically just about the toll records.
Question: did the records that you requested include the content of text messages? Smith: answer, no. Now, maybe there's some nuance I'm missing here.
Actually, I think there is quite a bit of nuance you are missing there, Senator Hawley. And while Jim Jordan's new criminal referral gives the actual full quote of what Smith said, this is still spin. It's still grasping at straws. Jordan writes tonight that they believe Smith's answer to Congress were, quote, half-truths. I'd say that the real half-truth appears to be this criminal referral itself. In a statement tonight reacting to Jim Jordan's flimsy criminal referral, representatives for former special counsel Jack Smith said, quote, the referral is made not because Mr. Smith made a false statement, which the letter concedes, but because he did not proactively disclose information that was not responsive to a question asked. This referral reflects a chilling eagerness to weaponize the justice system by attacking a career, nonpartisan public servant who faithfully and fearlessly performed his duties by following the facts and the law. Joining me now is MS Now Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney. And again, we just got this letter. Ken's very smart. He's been reading over it. Let me just start by asking you, Ken, we tried to do our best summary there. What do you make of what Jordan is alleging in this referral?
Look, and this is not a partisan statement. I'm a reporter, Jen. This doesn't pass the laugh test. This is such a stretching of the facts here. Let me just read you a response that I got from Jamie Raskin, the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee. He says, in part, this referral, if ever brought by a judge, will get laughed out of court. But success on the merits is not the goal. It is meant to harass Jack Smith. It's meant to please their Fox News viewership. It's meant to whitewash their own participation in a scheme to overthrow our elections. Look, the bottom line is you can't charge somebody for lying because they weren't asked the right question. Now, maybe we all wish, maybe Jack Smith wishes that he had amended or added to his answer about the toll records. And by the way, I'm not saying that we didn't obtain any text messages throughout the investigation relating to members of Congress. And maybe he didn't even remember because this was not a significant part of the investigation. As you said, this was a subpoena to the National Archives for White House records. And in those White House records were contained text messages from members of Congress. And there's a whole procedure that prosecutors have to go through when they're figuring out whether they can review any records related to Congress, because there is a legislative privilege, there's a speech and debate clause, and the Smith team went through all of that. Jack Smith talked about that under oath. He said he followed all the Justice Department guidelines related to that. And you can argue about whether they went too far, whether they played fast and loose, but the idea that Jack Smith intentionally lied under oath based on this set of facts is just ridiculous. And Jamie Raskin is right. This will get laughed out of court. Now, the thing we have to be concerned about here is we've seen this movie before. The Justice Department has charged James Comey with lying in a very similar set of circumstances for statements that don't really track a question that was rather confusing. And so it would not surprise me, actually, if this Justice Department ended up charging Jack Smith. But if they do, that will be a ridiculous moment in American history, Jen.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about in terms of kind of what happens here. I mean, this to me feels like a big PR play, right? It's, you know, they want to get attention. They want to throw in some credibility. Jack Smith just did an hour-long interview with our colleague Nicole Wallace a few weeks ago. Doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. Who knows? I would also note that one of the documents that Senator Chuck Grassley released last week showed that Smith's team discussing sending the lawmakers' texts they got from the White House and National Archives to Trump's defense attorneys years ago. As in, Chuck Grassley released documents acknowledging that this wasn't a secret, this was known, just like the toll records were known because they were literally in the report that was released by Jack Smith. Maybe people didn't read the report. But what do you think this is all about? I mean, is it a PR game? Is it more than that? Is it trying to take Jack Smith off the board? What is it about?
It's certainly a PR game, and it certainly is an effort to silence and intimidate Jack Smith. I mean, he's been very clear about the pressure that he feels he's under, and the people who work for him have been fired and purged from the Justice Department. I just fear that it could be more than that we could actually see a criminal case arise from this, because we've seen that kind of thing before. This Justice Department has proven itself capable of contorting itself to file criminal charges against the president's enemies. And there's no greater enemy, let's face it, in Donald Trump's mind than Jack Smith, the man who did try to put him in prison. That was Jack Smith's intention. Let's not, make no bones about it. He filed very serious criminal charges, and he has said publicly since then that he believes Donald Trump was guilty of those charges. He could have proven those charges in court, and they very possibly could have resulted in a prison sentence for Donald Trump. So, I fear that it's more than a PR campaign. And to your earlier point, you're absolutely right. Of course, this was disclosed to Donald Trump's lawyers. In discovery, all the relevant documents in a criminal investigation have to be turned over to the defense. That's part of our system. So the idea that they're just discovering this now, the Republicans, and that it's this grave scandal, it just doesn't seem logical, Jen.
And Senator Grassley released some of it. Okay, so release some of the correspondence about it. Talk to us about what happens next year. What do you have many stories you're covering in this Justice Department, but what are you watching for? What are the things that could happen next year?
Well, we'll watch for signs of a grand jury investigating this matter. And, grand juries are secret, so we're reading tea leaves, and we may hear from people inside the Justice Department who are very concerned about these kinds of political cases. Sometimes we learn about these kinds of things from people that are very upset about them, and so that's what we'll do. We'll report it out, and we'll look for any signs that they are actually conducting a criminal investigation that could result in charges against Jack Smith. Jack Smith's lawyers may hear about it. There may be witnesses brought in. Those are the kinds of things that we'll watch for, because again, this is going on all the time. There are all manner of people that came into Donald Trump's crosshairs that he views as a political enemy who are being investigated at this moment by the Justice Department.
Ken Dilanian, thank you as always for your tireless reporting and being able to consume and digest things so quickly. We appreciate it.